Hola mis queridos, ¿cómo estás mi Alicia? Hello my kittens, how are you? My name is Allison, and today we're playing Murder, She Wrote: A Deadly Catch. Now, we still have a lot to do in this particular chapter of the game. If you are not familiar, actually, I doubt there is a collector's edition of Murder, She Wrote, considering it didn't get very much publicity, I should say. Now, if you're not actually aware of it, Murder, She Wrote, this video game here, is actually based off a TV show of the same name. I actually should have looked it up, but this show was up for a really long time. I think it was probably 12 seasons if I'm correct. It became so widely known that there's even a sequel to the game as well, which I am super psyched about. And I'm like, okay, I'm betting the sequel of the game is going to be pretty hard to find. Turns out, Big Fish actually has both the first and the sequel. Yes! Which makes sense of how I'm able to easily play this game and even play it without the disc. I found that out the other night and I'm like, oh, I don't really need the disc? That is super sick. Now, if you're actually wondering why I haven't clicked on this yet, it is because it takes you to a website. The thing is, the website is broken. It's probably because this game is so old. I think it came out 2009. Anywho, the voice actors to the characters in this game are actually not of the same actors who were in the TV show. Instead, they're voice actors to have their characters sound a lot like the characters in the show. And I gotta admit, playing Deadly Catch, I think I remember the actual episode of its airing, or at least the episode it's based off of, because it seems so familiar to me. Because I specifically remember who the villain is and what Billy actually looked like in the show. Strangely enough, every time I hear the name Billy, I automatically think of the Power Ranger from the original series. I managed to pull out several photos from the internet of Angela Lansbury, who played the main character, Jessica Fletcher, who in the TV series is a best-selling author, I believe, if not at least well-known, because the city that she lives in, Cabot Cove, the police actually kind of depends on her to help them out, because all of the books that she has written are murder mysteries, if not detective. So that's why they lean on her for expertise on a lot of the cases they do, which I think is kind of weird. Of course, I have read an article where they actually refer to Jessica as a female Castle. I kind of agree if they hadn't have used the name Castle. They could have at least called her a Nancy Drew, because that's basically what she is. Except Nancy Drew's not an author. She's more like an amateur detective who's the daughter of a lawyer. Well, that's not Jessica Fletcher. So, anywho, let's get on with the game. There is actually a couple of things that I do want to mention before we get to the game. I can't believe I talked that much, but I'm going to try to hurry as fast as I can. Murder, She Wrote, there are some scenes in this game that are going to be pretty much NC-17 rated. I know there's going to be at least a little bit of violence, probably some blood. I know we've already come across blood in the game so far, as well as dead bodies. Please be aware that this is probably not a kid-friendly game. I'm sure it is appropriate enough if you make them look away at certain points. That means you actually have played the game before and you know when to make them look away. Anywho, I suggest anyone under 15 or 16, maybe not, well, that's why I said NC-17. People under 17 shouldn't be playing this game, in my opinion. Make them less aware of murders and the like. Not to mention strong language and possibly drug use. I could be wrong on that. It's actually on the box, but I don't have the box art with me right now. I mean, I could get off my butt and bring it over here, but we gotta get going with the game. There are actually a couple of things that I do want to point out about the game, and what I think is really cool is that there's a relaxed mode and a timed mode. I'm sticking with relaxed because, I don't really want to know how long I've been playing, and I have a feeling that's not technically what it means by timed mode. I think it means by timing you on certain puzzles and the like. I don't want that. And then there's the custom cursor. I am keeping it on because the off one just looks so wrong and it's going to be blending in a little too well with the game. This stands out and I love it. Anywho, let's go ahead and get on with the game. I am tired of talking so much when there's nothing to be played. And there's Deadly Catch, game number 1 of Murder, She Wrote, and there are 4 others: A Murder in the Maples, I'm betting that has to do with maple trees, if not the family maple, A Garden to Die For, pun intended, Secrets and Ashes, Dust to Dust, and Final Curtain. Oh, I have a feeling that involves with stage play, if not movies. Do you want to continue your saved game? Actually, I actually really like this feature. Where you can actually say yes, no, or cancel, where you just want to stay on this menu screen, which I think is pretty cool. There is one thing I gotta do real quick, because it seems that my thumbnail is incorrect. And we're back! Let's get going with the game. Yes, please. Alright, we were at this. Unfortunately, I cannot back out. That is the unfortunate thing about these hidden object scenes. What I think is really cool about the menu is that you can save and exit to the menu, obviously. Then there's the options, continue, of course. I think the variety is really neat. So here we have to find vests all over the place. Yoink. I think we're able to get this out of the way now. Yoink. There's the yellow buoy. That's one of the buoys from Peter's boats that Greg fitted with the transmitter for his research. Interesting. Can we not? Thank you. I'm finding this strange. Where are the other vests? Why am I having trouble with this? There we go. Alright. Ooh, hey, clipboard. These are research documents from the Marine Research Laboratory. It looks like that recent opening Andy was talking about was Peter's old job. Seems so. The 8-ball, anchor, sextant. There's sextant. There's the kettle. There's the guitar pick. Gecko. There's the camera. Where are you? This is insane. Yeah. There's the 8-ball. There's the gecko. Got it. I'm gonna pick this up for another hint. A quicker charge of it. A wire spool, spoon, toy shovel, and anchor. Why am I having trouble with the anchor? Anchor is should be easy to spot. There's the anchor. There's a spool. I can change time. There's the spoon. Yeah. Yeah, see? I knew the toy shovel was a specific color.
Greg Young sure didn't waste any time finding someone to replace Peter.
Yeah.
I agree. I wonder why he was in such a hurry.
Maybe we should go over to the lab and ask him ourselves.
Most likely, yeah. This whole game is basically just dialogue, hidden objects, dialogue, hidden objects. It's a little boring and tedious, but if it has a good storyline, it's not as tedious as it should be. Yeah, we already learned this, although it is a good way to catch you all up. That's one thing I always forget to do. If anything in this video does not look familiar, please check out the links that are in the description box below. There's a previous video, as well as the playlist. I recommend the playlist as it will have all the videos that we've done so far. Murder, She Wrote, A Deadly Catch. Of course, Deadly Catch is not going to last forever, considering the 4 books that we saw on the second menu. This chapter right here will catch us up on what happened in the previous video, or at least a bit of it. As it turned out, our cigar-smoking intruder was none other than Mick Foley, a well-known local loan shark. He admitted he was the one on Peter's boat and claimed he was looking around for anything of value he could take in repayment for Peter's debts to him. He said that Billy had been pressuring Peter to retire, but Peter just kept borrowing more money in order to keep fishing, and then couldn't keep up with his payments. Mick claimed that he was at the Harborside Tavern working on a loan with a client that last evening, and described how he wouldn't benefit from Peter's death. We found loan documents that indicated it was Andy Winters who was working with Mick that night. I'd like to talk to him again tomorrow. Oh boy. And then here is the conversation that we had right before this hidden objects. Andy confirmed that he was working out the details of a loan from Mick Foley on the night Peter was killed. He also admitted that he had been hired by the Marine Research Lab to take Peter's place collecting data. He certainly changed his tune. I found one of Peter's tracking buoys on Andy's boat, along with a clipboard from the research lab. And what I think is interesting is that Mick Foley is actually a real name, because I know I've heard it before, and then I heard the name again just the other day. I'm like, oh, he's involved with the film career? I think his film career, either that or political career. One of the two.
It looks like Andy Winters is your new assistant on your research project.
I know that replacing him so fast may seem inappropriate in light of Peter's death,
Right.
but I had no choice. Any lapse in the data collection could ruin a whole season's worth of research.
That I understand.
Why are you repainting one of Peter's buoys into Andy's
Because
colors?
it's cheaper.
Easier to repaint it than refit another buoy with a new transmitter.
True. And here we are. But one thing that's actually really cool about the hidden objects in Murder, She Wrote is that you actually have to find the letters for the typewriter before you can continue. I mean, you don't have to, but it is recommended that you do. Was that the O? No, we're missing the O. We'll find it. Oh, there it is. Alright, so, pirate hat. Yoink. We gotta drain the sink. Oh, and there we go. Plunger. Do we not? Alright. There's a stethoscope. I see a strawberry. Alright, conch shell. I am actually somewhat familiar with what conch shells look like. There we go. I hear you. There is whatever that was called. Toothbrush. Calculator. Box of toothpicks. What? Billy is always chewing on toothpicks. Could this mean he was here the night of his uncle's murder? Oh, that's right. His uncle was murdered here, not on the boat. Fishing lure. Didn't I just see that? Yeah, right there. Sand dollar. Sand dollar is kind of like a starfish. Bloodstain. Oh. Looks like there's blood on the floor here that someone tried to wipe up. Uh-huh. A plunger. Can we just... Thank you. Sheriff, some of these pieces of glass look like they have blood on them. If we can put them back together, we should be able to figure out what it was that broke. Quite true. Alright, so... From the bottom to the top, now a he. Why'd I do that? I believe... Nope. Oh, right here. Now we can do this. I am Jose Jalapeno. No, 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 no. Yeah, let me speak to you. I. Here we go. There's that piece. Nope. Okie dokie. 60. This is going to be right here. 70. 80. 90. Yeah, boink. I assume that goes there. Okay. Alright. We got it. We got it. Doo-doo. Huh. This top portion is certainly sharp enough to have been used as a murder weapon. Yep. Frickin' boat.
You got an explanation for the blood on these shards of glass, Mr. Young?
It's simple enough, Sheriff. I dropped a glass cylinder and cut myself when I went to pick up the pieces, and I have the bandage to prove it.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Can we see that bandage?
So when was the last time Peter visited your lab?
It had been a while. I usually went by his boat to pick up his data. Hope you don't mind, but I need to get back to crunching numbers.
Alrighty.
Blood on the floor and on a possible murder weapon? Seth certainly has his work cut out for him.
Yeah, but what's his motive?
I'll have him check the blood against Greg's to see if his story checks out.
Good.
Sheriff, I'm pretty sure that Billy Hammond was here at the lab the night Peter was killed.
If he has a good explanation for that, I'd like to hear it.
Yeah. And there we go. We're heading to the Cornelia, the ship that once belonged to Peter Hammond.
Sheriff, Mrs. Fletcher, what can I do for you?
You can tell us what you were doing at the Marine Research Lab the night your uncle was killed.
Nice assumption.
What? I was never there.
I'm afraid you were, Billy. We found the toothpicks you're always chewing in a wastebasket there.
It wasn't in a wastebasket.
Okay, maybe I did go there. I knew Peter was heading that way and I needed to talk to him.
About what?
About getting a better percentage. Lately, his catches had been better than average, and I figured I was entitled to more. But when I finally got up the courage to ask him for a raise, he fired me on the spot.
Huh.
And what about his promise to leave you the boat?
He said I'd never inherit the Cornelia.
Yikes.
So you killed him, right?
No. I mean, I lost it and knocked his lights out, but I sure didn't kill him.
What happened after that?
Nothing. I just left him there. I have no idea how he ended up back on the Cornelia.
Sheriff, if what Billy says is true, then someone else stabbed Peter and killed him.
Maybe so, but his motive is hard to ignore.
Right?
Billy, do you have any idea what sort of numbers Peter was recording for his lobster catches?
Low for most of the season. But then a couple of months ago, we started getting lucky and began catching a lot more.
Highly suspect. Picking up letters. Doink, but doink. And we're missing the I. I. Oh, I'm losing it. I really am. Barnacles, get you off, please. I don't get it. How did a band get on this lobster's claws? Someone must have placed a previously caught lobster in this trap. Interesting. Clipboard. The numbers here bear out what you said, Billy. Several months of low numbers followed by a spike. These later numbers would be considered good catches? Very good. I sometimes worry about Billy. I noticed it when I was playing on my practice profile. The items on the list change. Because I know in this specific hidden objects puzzle, I'm able to click on these helmets. Interesting. Alright, lighter, razor, Jill, where's the plunger, golf club, there's a padlock? Where? I found that. First aid kit, padlock.
Why would someone fill a trap with lobsters that have already been caught?
Maybe Jim Price can sort this out. Let's go talk with him.
Jim Price. Oh, Cabot Cove Lobster Pound. Right! That's where Jessica's case started.
Looks like Jim is out back with some fishermen.
Yep.
Oh, we shouldn't bother him while he's doing business, Sheriff. Let's just take a quick look around the store while we wait.
Isn't that obstruction of justice or something? Because even I know that's not a good idea. Lobster! Whoa! Pretty slim pickings in this tank. There's only one lobster. But look, the rubber bands on the claws are the same as the bands we found on the lobster in Peter's trap. Interesting. Ooh, letter. Letter. Yoink! Again, there's the eye. Portable cooler. Where are thee? Salt and pepper. Where are thou? Okay. Mounted fish. Booyah. Scuba tank. That's the fire hydrant. This is the scuba tank. Tape roll? Alright. There's the money. Where's the life preserver? Right, this thing. Spear gun. Yeah, knife rack. Basket. Wait, that's not the basket? Where's the basket? What do you consider a basket? There's a spotlight. I think the spotlight may need a change of batteries soon. You must be getting a lot of use lately. Oh. Interesting. There's ore. I mean, that's clearly not it. Oh yeah, I would not have seen that.
Hey, what are you doing here? We're closed.
Ouch. Hurtful.
We were hoping you could clear something up for us.
How's the lobster season been so far this year?
Good. Best season we've had in years.
Liar.
But Jim, if the catch has been so good, why are your tanks nearly empty now? And why did you have so few lobsters yesterday morning that you sent me to Peter instead?
Good question.
Well,
Speaking of Peter's catch, you got an explanation for how a lobster can get into a trap already banded with one of your bands?
Speak up, Jim.
You were putting lobsters from your tanks into Peter's traps, weren't you, Jim?
Question mark.
That's why you have that searchlight, to help you find his traps at night.
Huh.
Okay, yeah, I was. It was costing me plenty, too, since I had to buy them back from him once he hauled them in.
Why would you do that?
Why go through all that trouble?
Because my business depended on it. Look, if the Marine Research Lab confirms that there are low numbers of lobsters being caught, the government's gonna start imposing limits on how many lobsters the guys can bring in.
Yeah, which is a bad thing.
And that, in turn, would limit how many you have available for sale.
For everyone, not just him.
So you stacked the deck.
Well, that's one way to put it, yeah. I went out after dark, hauled Peter's traps, and stocked them with extra lobsters so that the numbers he reported to the lab looked good.
Let me guess. Peter caught you tinkering with his gear, threatened to tell Greg you skewed the data, so you killed him.
Really?
No, Peter was clueless.
Besides, Sheriff, if Jim was successfully stacking the deck, then Peter was worth more to him alive than dead.
Quite true. Thank you, Jessica.
Okay, but don't take any last-minute vacations.
Jim couldn't have put those lobsters in Peter's traps by himself. He would have had to have help from someone with a boat.
Yeah, and from the evidence we've seen, I bet that it's Andy who's been doing the helping. Tomorrow we'll have another early morning interview with him.
Suppose so.
Seth called me last night. He said the blood traces on those broken pieces of glass match Peter's blood type and not Greg's.
Huh.
So he was definitely killed at the lab with that broken glassware?
It looks that way. Maybe Greg had a motive we haven't figured out yet. Or maybe Andy made a stop at the lab after he left the Harborside Tavern. Or maybe he and Mick are covering for each other because they killed Peter together.
Well, we can ask Andy about it right now. His boat is right over there.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Oh, dear. Poor Andy.
Looks like someone got to him before we did, Mrs. F.
That dead body was glitched AF. Alright, let's go through the notes. We are kind of getting close to the end of the video. Greg was repainting one of Peter's buoys with Andy's colors when we arrived at the lab. We found some broken glass with blood on it, as well as what looked like blood on the floor. Greg explained that he had dropped a beaker and cut his hand. When reassembled, the broken glass formed a graduated cylinder. I'm hoping Seth can type the blood traces on the glass. I also found a box of toothpicks. Billy's? Oh, that was Marine Research Laboratory. Chapter 9, Cabin of the Cornelia. Billy admitted that he had followed Peter to the Marine Research Lab on the night he was killed. He claimed that he followed him there to ask him for a raise. Apparently Peter refused to give him a raise, fired him, and then told him he'd never inherit the Cornelia. Motive for Billy? Yeah. Billy insists that while he did knock Peter out, he left him at the lab unconscious, not dead. When asked about the catch, Billy reported that it had been better than usual lately. We opened a trap and found a lobster with a band already on its claw. Chapter 10, Cabot Cove Lobster Pound. Really? You're missing a comma. When we got to Jim's, we found very few lobsters in his tanks, but those we saw were banded with the same color as the one we found in Peter's trap. After some pressing, Jim admitted to stocking Peter's traps with his own lobsters in order to skew the research figures upwards and protect his business. Jim insisted that Peter had no idea what was going on, and that Peter was worth more to him alive than dead. He didn't say that, you pointed it. Since Jim would have needed an accomplice with a boat, I went to check in with Andy to see if he was helping Jim with his scheme. Well, no way to find out now. Alright, so considering the reading, I probably should stop here, but I did stop a little bit to check something. Not to mention I talked way too much at the beginning. So, you know what? As much as I want to go to the next scene and do another hidden objects, I think I'm going to stop here. It's the best thing I can do right now. Just to like save time. Not just for the video, but for what I need to do after recording. I stayed in bed way too long today. Gosh, I love lucid dreaming. It is taking up way too much of my spare time though. Okay, so here's the thing. I actually love talking about lucid dreaming because I get to talk about all my different dream worlds that I've created. You know that spot where you're dreaming, but you know you're awake and you feel like you have some control of it? That's lucid dreaming. And I've actually been able to do this since I was 9. I'm serious, since I was 9. So I've had like about 21 years of experience with lucid dreaming. It got way advanced while I was in college, and I am not going to tell you why, because, I mean, despite this is like an NC-17 video game, I am not going to explain what changed during college to improve my lucid dreaming. But I can tell you what, entering that part of adulthood also helped with my writing. These past 7 or 8 years, I've been writing some really crazy books. And I do not intend on publishing those books until later on in my author career. Because, I'm not ready to start with those in my author career just yet. I'm going to start with something innocent, like Ashlyn's Dream Come True, a Cinderella musical in a book. No, I'm not going into the Cinderella stuff. That's like opening a can of worms, just like I did with lucid dreaming. Anywho, lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is, like I said, that spot where you're asleep, you're dreaming, but you know you're waking up. That's my favorite part of lucid dreaming, because not only are you witnessing what's happening in the dream, but you're actually able to change it in any direction you want. You can change it to have it a good ending or a bad ending or somewhere in the middle, or even just like some sort of peaceful thing, which is kind of the same thing as middle. There are so many different branches, so many ways that you can change any little fact, any little detail, and there's a consequence, whether it be good or bad. Because I'm so advanced with my lucid dreaming, I'm able to rewind time to go back to a certain spot to either change it or just to watch it again. And I'm also able to like fast forward through time to see like what would happen if this consequence stuck in the timeline. I can even like pause or freeze the dream world so that I can go back to it later, or I know I'm not going to be able to continue it on my own or on my free time. I won't be able to remember it. And what's fascinating about lucid dreaming is that you can create so many different dream worlds. You can create any situation you want, whether it be magical, murder mystery, fantasy, sci-fi, action, any kind of genre, any kind of detailed scenario that you want. Even adulthood, even childhood, even your most favorite movie series or TV series, actors, anything. The dream world is unlimited. It is insane, and I love it so much, and I'm talking way too much. I should probably end it right here. Not only is my little pony calling my name, but so is my laundry. I love you all so much, and I hope you all enjoyed this video as much as I did. Oh my gosh! And I will talk to you all in the next video. And on that note, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If so, smash that like button like a kitten would. And if you're just now tuning into this channel by watching this video, go ahead and click that ugly red subscribe button. Make it that beautiful gray, as well as the bell icon right next to it. I hope you all have a great morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world. I am Sweet Rascally Rabbit, saying goodbye. Stay awesome and stay on YouTube! Despite the fact that having the theme song on repeat is a little bit monotonous, I love listening to it. It's annoying and so catchy at the same time.